Antiwork. How is everyone here who are quitting their jobs able to live with no job? I haven't quit in a few years, but I generally make decent money and try to have 6 months or more worth of expenses in savings. That way I can always walk if I need to. As a general rule, I always try to get fired before quitting. Do just enough that you can't be fired for cause, but let your boss know you aren't taking any crap anymore. So a strange juxtaposition between the folks actually quitting and another outspoken segment of the sub whom seem truly feeling the devastating impacts of the system, so much so they cannot even afford to quit. The ability to quit itself seems almost privileged. To help find solutions for those whom could not quit is a task. Very interesting point. Agreed. Childcare took $15 of my $16. I was the highest paid employee in the facility, which cut our hours to avoid paying for insurance. I left with no savings. We already only had my husband's money to live on. So all that has changed is that I'm the person raising my kids, so there's really no loss. I feel like this is how it is for most people. Didn't make money before leaving a job, didn't make money after leaving a job, so nothing has changed other than a better mental state. I just quit my job. I was very close to doing it without something else lined up. Like I was figuring out how to get state health insurance to cover my butt, but I happened to get something else right around the time I wanted to quit. If I didn't have something else lined up, I did have about 3-4 months expenses saved up for if I ever lost my job. Something I started saving when the pandemic hit. I know I am fortunate I was able to keep my job and save, even with the savings lined up and a supportive partner helping as well. I don't know if I could have really quit without something else. It was making me nervous, like, well, what if it takes me more than 3-4 months to find something? The one downside of quitting with a new job is maybe if I had quit without one and had time to really dig into a job search, I would have found a new job that's even better than the one that sort of fell into my lap. Job searching is so time intensive though. I had been doing it in my spare time, early mornings but crack of dawn, for months, and I don't know if I really could have done it anymore. So, new job fell into my lap, and I just went with it. I did take a small pay cut, but the benefits are way better and it seems like it'll be way less stress. Would I have found something that pays way more than where I am now if I quit and had a bunch of free time? Maybe. It's all a gamble. TLDR. I'm fairly risk adverse nervous, so even though I had 3-4 months expenses saved up and wanted to quit without something else lined up, I don't know that I would have really been brave enough to do it. I don't know if that was the right decision, but I am moving forward and forgetting about what could have been. I got laid off my job in 2019. My unemployment payments continued through the pandemic. 2 years of unemployment payments. I saved a lot of it. I've been very thrifty for decades. I can live off my savings for a few years. I don't know if you noticed this, but if you go to some posts who tell about their current jobs being complete crap, the comment section will generally tell OP to be careful about quitting and make sure that it's affordable, whether it be in savings or by looking for a new job to secure their finances. Good. My thoughts exactly on this sub. I would love to quit, but can't afford to not have my wage coming into the family home. I like to think the people who do this have either a good support system to rely on, or have decent savings, but I wonder this too. Gig work and a landlord that is very understanding about rent and my situation. Honestly, without his kindness I would be just another homeless veteran. I genuinely despise how this nation treats our vets once they wrap up their service. If we can afford the war, we can afford to take care of those vets for the rest of their lives. Thank you for serving. When I quit my job this past summer, I had about $5,000 in savings, so I was able to live for a couple months without any income. I'm also single and don't have any debt, so there's that too. That would unfortunately last me about 1 month, between mortgage, insurance, property tax, car insurance, health insurance, electricity, internet, heat, and food. I feel like a lot of people in this sub live with parents or get some help from their family. I love the energy in this sub, and I feel like there is a grassroots revolution happening in America. People deserve more, but refusing to work or quitting without another job or without a safety net is definitely not an option. I subscribed to this sub because I remember how hard it was to make a living back in the day, and it has only gotten worse. The difference between working for very little pay and having no pay but suddenly time. Note that many people quitting without backup make very little. They may have a partner to help, or they may be on their own. I've lived out of my car before. We don't have mortgages. We have obscene rent. We can't afford children. As far as debt, let the credit score tank. At least with the newfound time, you can look for something better. I left town with a backpack and a megabus ticket to Florida. Seriously, just be transient if you don't have obligations. Go find some rainbow kids and GTFO. I spent 6 months living in a van, unemployed, and it was the best time of my life. Riding my bike and finding a body of water to swim in every day. Easily the fondest memories I have of my life. I have some money saved up. The last 2 jobs I was physically assaulted 2 different times, and I'm trying to get back in the headspace to find a decent job that doesn't tolerate physical abuse. Unless it is extremely bad, I usually advise people to look for a new job while still at your job. You are more likely to find something better because you won't be so desperate. I knew the first year into my last career that the company was a sinking ship. I saved frick money while going toe to toe with the owner management, trying to implement change and make them see reason about regressive policies, toxic environment, inept manager, the usual. Of course, my outspokenness only resulted in me being marked an agitator and being passed over repeatedly for promotions, even though I was one of their best workers. So, I waited until I couldn't stand their crap anymore and gave my 2 weeks notice, on the afternoon before I left for 2 weeks of vacation. This took 7 years to come to fruition. I left with $20,000 in my savings account. I live in a relatively low cost of living Midwestern city with no kids, so that savings has carried me through for almost a year now. My husband and I live below our means. We both drive 20-year-old vehicles, have outdated phones, and our house is modest. We have one old TV, and spend a lot of time walking our dogs in area parks for exercise entertainment. Other than student loan debt and our mortgage, we try not to use credit and take pleasure in the simple things. He still has a good income and we both have family nearby. To be clear though, by the time I left that job, I would have rather lived in a box down by the river than put up with my employer taking advantage of me for one more day, regardless of my circumstances. Time for a general strike yet? Feels like the American labor force might be ready to get this party started. The big thing a lot of people here kind of side mention is having a significant other who makes good money. Funny to see it mentioned as some toss away thing. I just keep my bills low. It helps that I don't have kids, of course, and soon my girlfriend and I will be moving in together, cutting my rent even more. But I get old cars on Craigslist for $5,000 and pay up front. Since my cars are cheap and easily replaceable, I don't get any coverage on it. Only the bare minimum legally required for car insurance. Cheapest internet package. Bumming streaming services from friends, family. Here in Seattle it's not too hard to find a job for $20 HR, which can pay all my bills working like 20 hours per week. So no matter what happens, it's easy for me to find a job with high enough pay to support myself. On top of that, I keep about 6 months worth of living in my savings. I haven't quit any job, but I am soon, and I'm not a bit concerned about what happens to me. No new job lined up yet. Quitting because I'm moving about an hour away and I'm going to school soon, but I budgeted and penny pinched enough that I'm pretty much set. That's what I'm trying to do, pay off my debts and be able to live off less just by keeping my bills low. Personally, with my resume I could walk down the street and get 3 new jobs tomorrow that would get me by. But my target demographic, this is very easy. I also live in a small town. Some live with their parents, some rely on a working partner. If you ask me, rambling about freedom from work when you put 2x pressure on your partner to make a living for 2 is quite hypocritical. You win. I remember I went to Canada with the working holiday visa. I first landed in Edmonton, not the best choice in my opinion. After 5 days I took a bus to go near Vancouver for a cherry pickling job a friend told me. Well, I lasted 3 days there. I went with a guy I met in the farm to Vancouver to find a proper job. In 5 days I already found a room, and in a week I've punned a job. Just washing dishes, but it was just to make some money while I tried to find a graphic design job. I landed in 4 jobs more before I got a graphic designer job offer. The story is way longer. I choose to go to Canada from Spain because of a girl, and that didn't go well since the first month. She was trying to meet with another guy. Happy New Year. 1. No kids. 2. No pets. 3. Savings. As soon as I get an inkling that I'm going to quit or that a place is toxic, I have a 0 week where I spend $0. I also immediately brush up the resume and send it out. I try to get fired before quitting so that I can collect UI if I do get fired, and try to line up an interview. As a teenager I just quit because frick do I need to work for a car, going out, it's all bulls. As an adult it's for survival, but realistically I spend very little as I am a minimalist. As soon as I do quit, job hunting is my new job and I start the next week. Longest I've gone without working since 18 is about 4 months. It also helps to have jobs that pay out PTO. In 2016 I had a very profitable year with Bitcoin and DAS stock. So how I have frick you money. If I quit working I could sustain my lifestyle without a job for at least 3 years. However, if I quit I would sell everything and travel. I live dramatically below my means and I've cut out a lot of people that were taking from me emotionally and financially. Since you're minimalist, there's free food in the dumpsters behind all grocery stores. Most of it is not even expired. 50% of all food in American grocery stores is discarded. Savings, tax returns, selling stuff, taking in a roommate, part-time gigs. It's really up to you. Not having children, child support, alimony, or court problems, cancelling things like cable, Netflix. It's up to the person. Not everyone can do it. 2 houses paid off, cars paid off, wife works. It's hard to stay focused at work when you don't really need the dollar sign. What I really need is time. Time is wealth. They saved up from pandemic and have like 3 months worth of money saved. Many PPL quitting are just hoping to find something better within a month or 2. Oh, I have the same question. I live paycheck to paycheck. Oh, savings. Instead I have to borrow from friends to tide over sometimes. I have lots of debts. I have a spouse who works and a large savings account which allowed me to quit. I am also older, 40s, which means I have had time to buy a home and pay off student loan debt. I work part-time for my dad doing social media for his business. We live more or less frugally, have a mortgage with a fixed low rate, and my husband works full-time. I'm lucky to not work in the same way I used, and I count that blessing every day. My relatively new car is fully paid off, so I could just sell it if I needed money. It would cover 2 years of my current job's post-tax income. Having equity in anything is very important, as you can sell things off in true emergency scenarios. If you're leaving to simply stick it to the man, don't do that without a backup job. Most people posting are about minimum paying jobs or labor jobs where you have lot of options, plus there is still government unemployment. I am privileged. As a 36-year-old man with $70,000 in student loans, my retired parents are indebted to banks which have allowed them to live in a house they hold a deed to, despite it being 75% owned by the bank after 35 years of consistent payments. This has given me the luxury of being able to quit my job twice this year, even though I am responsible for 50% of the loan payments they need in order to maintain their ownership. It's certainly a privilege, but I'm 22, so it's pretty easy when absolutely no one is responsible to you, and the only payment I have is rent. My husband makes enough for us to live off, albeit not extravagantly. No debt except for mortgage and 1 car. We refinanced our house during the pandemic and cashed out some of our equity. No kids, and we live simply. We don't go out a lot or pay for a bunch of streaming services. We make the most out of travel by camping, staying with friends, etc. Cooking on vacation instead of going out. Honestly, when I quit my job I saved so much money on restaurants because I wasn't going out for lunch every day. Don't get me wrong. Money can be tight, but mentally we are both better with me not working. It easy. I'm a cloud automation engineer. I can be a system admin, help desk, network technician, security engineer, It's all the same crap. I cut grass for 10 years and plowed snow. I have a Class B license so I can drive 10-yard dumps with electric brakes. I can fix almost any machinery. I live in Detroit. My cost of living is almost nothing. Frick crappy jobs. There are tons of them. I pay myself first wherever I work and make sure I have a couple of months' salary available in cash or stocks that I can sell. But also, I never stop looking for work, ever. It is my second job, to be ready to jump at a moment's notice. I turned in my resignation at my current place of employment the day before Christmas, and expect to start a new job on the 15th of January. It pays the same but the company seems a lot nicer. As soon as I start at the new place, I will update my resume and history on LinkedIn, and continue looking for work. Nobody should have to put up with bulls from the job for a single day. Nobody. I'm French, and here every time you work you and your boss contribute for unemployment and retirement benefits, and state gives money back to you when you need it, for a certain amount depending on the time and the amount you contributed, if you get fired, except in cases where it is because you did a serious fault defined by law, or if you quit because your employer has made a serious fault or don't respect your contract. J also had to give you a significant amount of money which increase with time you were in the job. I suppose that sound like communism for American people. Money is just one system of exchange. There are many other ways of getting what you want. They may not be as fast, but they work. I'm 28 and I live with my mother. I hate it but we both agree that I have no one and nothing. So wasting money on rent or a house is just pointless. She's super chill. I pay a few bills just because I hate being a mooch but I don't have to pay rent. My vehicles are both paid off. I have zero debt. I'm just kind of aimless currently so I really don't want to make the commitment of buying a home or spend the money. I only hate it because I want my own space. Mums is one of my best friends albeit I'm lazy as crap but she doesn't rag me for it much and I try to make sure I contribute. She knows I'm at a low point and she's more understanding than most. I'm just lucky. Gotta do something with my life though. Because the majority of posts are fake stories that didn't happen. I support the movement, but can smell the BS in here. If your wages are insufficient to take care of your basic needs, it's a better choice to stop working. This is sort of the point. Getting over the fear of the unknown is difficult, and it's a prison. Just find a job before quitting. You don't need to quit during a heated exchange with your boss. Take a few weeks, get something lined up, then quit. Rich parents, which I believe is the case for at least 35-40% of this sub, and possibly Reddit as a whole, could be closer to 90% for all I know. You do whatever you can to survive. If it means cutting costs, or cancelling a service you don't need. I use my credit cards for daily stuff, pay the minimums from what little savings I had, and pay my rent from there too. It's tight but I see it as an investment to getting better pay when I chose a new job in a month or two. Meanwhile participating in anti-work and by being another statistic that's going to cause the wages for everyone to increase. It's a financial sacrifice that leads to a greater cause. It's also a personal challenge to realign my spending and not feed into capitalism by buying crap I don't need. Half the people here that post are lying for clout. Having their friend text them things and saying it's their boss. Writing fake stories to get people outraged so they interact with the post. Posting fake signs that their managers put up in the employee break areas. This will get downvoted but it's true. Eviction moratorium that just expired in October. I think here in WA provided routing to get a year's rent assistance, then food stamps $350 month, utilities $2,500 assistance, and internet $50 a month assistance has my out of pocket at $100 per month. I quit in July, turned down 4 offers while sitting at home playing video games, not paying bills, and because I reported no income I got assistance. Last month I accepted an offer. The assistance is still in place. Because it's a very problem with this sub that no one talks about. I have now asked numerous people on this sub, so you told your boss to go shove it, now what happens? I usually get some flowery answer that offers no practical advice. Literally most quitting posts people mention they have another job lined up or savings, so I'm not sure what you're looking about. I agree about the "Foo I quit" posts. They don't provide anything constructive and sometimes make you a little concerned for the person's future. It's rarely a good thing just to walk off a job with zero resources, and I try to discourage that. My take on this site is to help each other to promote better conditions on our current jobs, if any, to help better identify jobs that are really worth switching to or pursuing, and more importantly for me, how to value our current lifestyles and goals so that we don't need to rely so heavily on our jobs to sustain us. I think the more we talk about the latter, the healthier we will be as a society. Sometimes when I offer up stories of people I know or things I do, the response is "that's just you" or "that won't work for me." Regardless, I believe that the more ideas we can throw out, the more we can adapt them to our individual needs and become better equipped to work towards being more community self-sufficient. Baby steps. This is a good one. I've always wondered who I have however seen many post ending with "I already have X amount of jobs lined up and intended to quit anyways." If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.